All right, y'all, so we're gonna look at 4b. This is a crazy problem, 4b. All right, so pay close attention. 4b, I have the quantity 4b again. I need to space, I'm gonna have to erase that. I'm doing 4b, everybody, 4b. So let's erase it, 4b. All right, so what I have is I have the quantity 3 over x minus 1. And I'm adding that to 6 over x plus 2, and that becomes my numerator in this complex rational expression. And so I now have 6 over x plus 2 in my denominator minus 3 over x minus 3. So the multiplication and the factoring involved in this problem, I'm going to ask you to kind of do it over on your own time so that the problem doesn't come like 10 minutes on the video. So here's what's going to happen. So what I want to happen is I need to get all of these factors represented in my multiplier, the numerator and the denominator. So I have my x minus 1 factor here and my x plus 2. But I still need to put x minus 3 as a factor, and there I got it. Ah, boy. So it's not x minus 3 that we're looking on, but rather 3 minus x. That's what the problem have, 3 minus x. Good. So I want to get that factor here. So all of these factors have to also be in the denominator when I'm multiplying. So I have x minus 1 here again, x plus 2, and 3 minus x. Now I want to check to see if all the factors are there. X minus 1 there, x plus 2 there. This is there because it's in the denominator. So let's go here now, x plus 2 there, 3 minus x there. And so I have the same in the numerator and the same in the denominator. Therefore, we can go now and start multiplying. Now, if you notice, when I multiply this by this gets killed. This factor here gets killed. And what I have is left is this. This is gone. So what I have now is 3 times x plus 2 times 3 minus x. And now I'm going to have, on the other part, this factor is going to go here. And so I'm going to have these 2 factors left over. So I'm going to have 6 x minus 1 times 3 minus x. All right, good. And so now, same thing in the denominator, same process here. When I multiply by this part, this factor is going to go, and I'm going to have these 2 factors left. I'm going to have 6 times what 2 factors let's say were left? X minus 1 and 3 minus x. X minus 1 and 3 minus x. And over here, when I multiply by this side, this is a subtraction, obviously not an addition. This factor is going to go, I'm going to have x plus 1, x minus 1, and x plus 2. Good. So here we go. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to expand. All right, so I'm not going to multiply by the multiply outside. I'm just going to expand using the FOIL method. So x times 3 is going to be 3x. And watch what I'm doing carefully now. I want to get the x terms out of the way. X times 3 is 3x. And 2 times negative x is going to be negative 2x. So x times 3 is 3x. Keep that in mind. 2 times positive 2 times negative x is negative 2x. 3x minus 2x. So 3x plus negative 2x is going to be 1x. Go to get my x squared term. X times negative x is going to be negative x squared. And now 2 times 3 is going to be 6. So I know I kind of mixed up the FOIL, but I had to. Everything got multiplied by something else. That's the process here. So you can double check. I had to because it's written funny. 3 minus x is what the problem gave us, right? All right, so now the same process here. So I'm going to get my x terms first. X times 3 is 3x. And negative 1 times x is going to be, sorry, negative 1 times negative x is going to be positive x. So let's go again. 3 times x is 3x. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x. 3x plus x is 4x. So this is going to give me my x term, 4x term. Let's go to my x squared now. So I got to do that. I have to do it because of the way the problem is set up, the way the problem is written, right? So x times negative x is going to be negative x squared, which is what I have here. And finally, negative 1 times 3 is going to be negative 3. The idea here, even though we didn't do the order of FOIL, is that we do every single letter in FOIL. I might have done the F and the O before the I, but the point I'm making is I did all of them. It's a process. All right? And adding order doesn't matter when you add things, so that was good. Anyway, so now I did x minus 1 times 3 minus x up here. So whatever I had here would be what I wrote right down here. So I'm going to write 6 times negative x squared plus 4x minus 3. That was done here already. Minus 3. Now, this wasn't done yet, but we know this from regular FOILing, right? So we're going to have x times x is x squared, a little bit easier. And now in the end, and here I'm going to have a minus x, again, minus 1x, and this is going to give me a positive 2x. So positive 2x with a minus 1x is going to be a positive 1x. Again, you can slow the video down and work through this. Negative 1 times a positive 2 is going to be a negative 2. All right, and so now I have all of this, and I just need to do some expanding. And I think we are going to get to the 10 minutes. It's a long problem. All right, so if I expand everything, you should see that 3 is going to become a multiplier of everything here. So that's going to give me minus, it's an arrow here, by the way, just an arrow in the space. So it's going to give me a minus 3x squared. This is going to give me a plus 3x. And next 3 times 6 is going to give me a positive 18. And 6 times negative x is going to be negative x squared is going to be negative 6x squared. 6 times 4 is going to be a 24, so I'm going to get 24x. And 6 times negative 3 is going to be negative 18, which is nice. At least something is going to cancel out in the top. And now here, 6 times x squared is going to be negative x squared is going to be negative 6x squared. 6, well, anything I get over here, I'm going to get here because this part is repeated. So I'm just going to have negative 6x squared plus 24x minus 18, complements of what we did here before. Now I have to do this part, so I'm going to get negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times a positive 1x is going to be a negative 3x. And negative 3 rather, here, times a negative 2 is going to be a positive 6. All right, cool. So we're almost done. So now positive 18 and negative 18 cancel out, right? They cancel out each other. So now I have negative 3x squared minus 6x squared is going to be negative 9x squared. I'm going to have a 3x plus a 24x is going to be a positive 27x, which is going to be nice because I can factor something up here. Now, negative 6x squared and minus 3x squared is going to be negative 9x squared again. You cannot do this. That's illegal. You can't cancel things across addition sign like that. You have to factor first. So here now we have a positive 24x minus 3x is going to be a positive 27x. And here we have a negative 18 and a positive 6 should give us a negative 12. All right. So now I can factor out up here. I can actually factor out a negative 9x. Just going to leave with x here. And I'm going to keep this handy because the answer key is going to be different, look different from what I have, but they're going to actually be equivalent. So negative 9x is factored out, and which leaves me an x here, and it will leave me here with a negative 3. Let's see it. Negative 9x times x is going to be negative 9x squared. Negative 9x times negative 3 is going to be a positive 27x. So my factoring is correct. And here I can only factor the negative 3. So I factor out the negative 3. Use a square bracket there for a reason. And what I'm going to get here is I'm going to get the negative, when I factor the negative 3, I'm going to get the 3x squared. Now, negative here, I need to get a negative here because negative times the negatives would give me a positive. So this is going to be a negative 9x. And here I also need to have this time a positive, because if I factor the negative out of a negative, I'm going to get a positive. Why? Because negative times a negative, positive is a negative. So right here I'm going to have a positive 4. Good. So what I'm going to get now, what I want to do now is, Chris, I'm recording. Thanks. Thanks, Chris. Okay.
You cannot look.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay. Yes, later. So, yeah, sorry about that, guys. If I had to start over every time, I would not get it done. Okay. So that was my son. All right. So, I can do some factoring now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take this denominator and I'm going to factor. All right. So I'm going to factor. Okay. All right, Caitlin. Okay, guys, this is not. Okay, let's go. Okay, now record it. It doesn't have a pause button. All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, sorry about that. The system I'm using doesn't have pause, or pause doesn't work too well with this. All right, sorry about that. So anyway, I'm going to take this particular thing and I'm going to do some factoring in the denominator. So again, I have my negative 9x, x minus 3, and negative 3 here. And I'm going to factor this, right? Something is a little fishy here. All right, so some computational error was made. This should have been a positive 21, which makes this a negative 7. All right? Okay, good. So the correction is made. So go back and check the fraction. The sum. We made a mistake somewhere. All right, so what happens here is I want to factor this out. And you can do it by trial and error, but I know that because all the numbers here are relatively prime, right? It's nice to factor. So I have a 3x here, I have an x here, and I need to figure out a way to get positive 4. Well, fortunately for us, it's not hard to get positive 4. I'm going to try here with a negative 4 and a negative 1. And here's my reason for that. All right, actually, I'm going to try here with a negative 4 and a positive 1. I'm doing a trial and error process. And the reason why I'm doing that is because negative 4 times x is going to be negative 4x. And 3x times negative 1 is going to be negative 1x. I mean, negative 3x rather, which is going to give me the negative 7x I need in the middle, right? All right, so that's good right there. All right, so we're done. We're almost done. Okay. So if you notice, I can now cancel negative 3 into negative 9, right? Is going to give me a 3 here. And so this is just going to give me a 3x times x minus 3 And that's now going to be 3x minus 4. That's going to be the answer. Your answer key has something different, all right? So your answer key has something different. I'm going to go back to the previous step and show you why this is equivalent to the answer in your answer key, okay? So you can pause this. You can take a screenshot. I'm going to go back and show you why this answer is equivalent to the answer we have in our answer key. All right. So before we did the factoring, we had negative 9x times x minus 3. And we had here 3 times x squared minus 7x, when I corrected my mistake, plus 4. All right. So somehow in your, this is a negative 3 here. Okay. So somehow in the answer key, what happened is, this is what they did. So this is what they did instead. Your answer key, instead of factoring out a negative, they factored out just the 9x. So what they would have had here, this is equivalent, all of this is equivalent to, if I just factored out a 9x, I would have a 9x times negative 1. It's a funny way the software is working. Times x minus 3 over, this is going to now multiply back all the negative on the inside. So I'm going to have multiply the negative on the inside and leave out the 3. So I'm going to have a 3 here. This is going to become a negative x squared. And this is going to become a positive 7x. This is going to become a negative 4. So that's what your book did. Now, if you basically take off, spread the negative 1 on the inside also, like we just did in the denominator, what's going to happen is this x is going to become negative, and this negative 3 is going to become positive. So that's what they just did. And what they did now, let's just finish up why. Just want to explain why the answer key is the way it is, right? I don't want you to think that we're giving you wrong information. So here I have a 9x over 3 minus x. And I have the 3. Before I do the canceling, let's just factor out. So what happened, what the answer key did, is let's look at the answer key. It factored out, the answer key factored out x minus 1. All right. So what the factor key did is factored out x minus 1. And so now it's trying to get back a negative x squared, so it has to have a negative x here. All right, and also what they have now the negative x rather than a negative 3x. All right, so this right here should have been a negative 3 also. Sorry about that. All right, and so they have a negative 3 for that reason, again, because they factored x minus 1. They want to preserve that idea of having negative 3x. So x times negative 3x is negative 3x squared, negative 3x squared. And so what right here, they add a 4. Why? Because I have a negative 1 times a negative 3x is going to be a positive 3x. And what do I have here? Okay, a positive 4. I'm going to have a positive 4x here. It's going to give me my 7x, so my 7x is taken care of. And then a negative 1 times a positive 4 is going to give me a negative 4. So in your answer key, the answer is not wrong. That's the point I'm making. The answer is not wrong. All right, so now 3 into 9 goes 3. And so the answer here from your answer key's perspective is 3x times 3 minus x over x minus 1 times negative 3x plus 4. That was done by a computer software. I still prefer the way I did it earlier. All right, so that's it for this particular problem.